Welcome back, Duelist. Casual Duelist here, and thank you for getting that first video up to the 100. I am pre-taping this. At the time I'm taping this, I am at like 85 views on the budget build for the Freezing Chain structure deck, and since you guys managed to do that in what, like 7-8 hours, I feel I should go ahead and at least pre-tape this way I can upload immediately the competitive version for you. Now, I do have a little side out issue. I did build a 41 card deck. I do have an option to bring it down to 40, and it requires 3 card changes. So let me get into that deck list for you, and then we'll go ahead and do the rest of the things, all right? So we're going to start with monsters, and we are going to be running 3 copies of Ash Blossom. We are going to run the 1 Dance Princess, 1 Defender, 3 General Wayne, 2 Hexa Spirit. We are going to run 3 copies Revealer of the Ice Barrier, 3 copies Prior of the Ice Barrier, 2 copies Silent Angler, 1 Strategist, 3 Speakers for the Ice Barriers, and 2 Zuijin of the Ice Barrier. And that's another thing I got to say about this structure deck. I would have felt bad putting budget on the title card, but again, like, almost everything I needed was actually in the structure deck until we get to the extra deck, guys. It's actually really cool to see just such a strong showing of cards from the structure deck. Let me get back into it. So spells, the single Foolish Burial, 3 copies Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier, 3 copies Medallion of the Ice Barrier, 1 Monster Reborn, a 1-for-1, 2 copies Salvage, and of course the 3 Wins Over the Ice Barrier. And then I did add traps, but my traps are just 3 Solemn Strikes. Please forgive the additional color sleeve. I didn't want to waste the time looking around for this, because I'm sure by the time I upload this, you guys will have crushed the 100. And I don't want you guys to wait around too long. Moving over to the extra deck, I am going to use 1 copy Bryo, 1 copy Coral Dragon, 1 copy Duloran, 1 copy Glacial Beast Iceberg Narwhal, 1 Gungnir Dragon of the Ice Barrier, 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier, 1 Trishula Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Going over to my Xyz, I am going to run Abyss Dweller because we do have some level 4 or some rank 4 ability in this deck. And again, this will help us stop graveyard effects. And at the same time, we'll actually gain the extra bonus of increasing all water monsters by 500. So a crazy use of that card. I also thought we'd keep the water theming go with the number 101 Silent Honor Arc. Pretty cool. Snowdust Giant, surprising tech right there. Of course, totally awesome because Prior is Prior. And Tornado Dragon, the only non-water attribute in my build today. But he is just so good. So I am going to use my Crystron. Everybody wants to call him Needle Fiber. Let's try that one more time. Crystron Hackle Fibrex. All right, I nailed it. Marincess Coral Anemone, and a copy of Miss Starboy. And just real quick, for the people that only want the lists, if you want to bring this down to 40 from 41, I would say take out the strikes and maybe just put in a Called by the Grave and one of the Terrors of Trishula. Again, I do have all 5 Ice Barrier Synchros. You could play around with it, but unless you're really going to dedicate to it, I feel like this is just a cool tech card for the archetype and not really necessary to be played. And of course, if you're taking out the strikes, you might want the Called by the Grave to be in the main build. So, everybody who's just here for the list, thank you. Thank you for watching. If this helps you, maybe consider subscribing to the channel. We are getting pretty close to 300, which is kind of cool. What was the other thing? Yeah, please tell your friends and have a great day. Definitely have the great day. Everybody else, let's talk over some choices. So, back to the main build. Of course, we want Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is the best generic hand trap in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Again, we can discard it once per turn to stop our opponent from tutoring a card from deck to hand, summoning from the deck to the field, or sending a card from deck to discard. Just brilliant. Next up, you got the single copy Dance Princess. And again, she's got like this whole bounce control thing, and all you have to do to activate this effect is just reveal Ice Barrier cards in your hand, up to the number of back row cards you would like to bounce from your opponent's side of the field. So if they've only got 2, you can reveal just 2. And of course, since it does say spell traps your opponent controls, and not spell trap zones, we can also bounce a field spell too, should that be a nuisance for you. Maybe in like a Dream Mirror match type matchup. We do run the single defender, just like we did, just like the wife did in the casual $30 budget deck. And again, I was surprised with just how closely, because like we didn't talk to each other while we were building, but the decks almost lined up perfectly. It was crazy. But we both used the single defender because, again, if you control another ice barrier, monsters your opponent control cannot declare attacks if the attack is greater than or equal to the card's defense, which is okay. It's got 1600 defense. But really, it's just the 3-star Aqua Tuner, and those are the reasons we want this guy in here. We both valued General Wayne at 3. Spell traps sent to the graveyard, your opponent's graveyard, are banished from the game, and you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. So if your opponent controls a monster and you control an ice barrier, you can extend and summon this card. And if this is normal or special summon, you can add an ice barrier spell trap card to the hand. Now, it's a good thing that they say you can only use the following once per turn, because this card would be absolutely broken, because all you'd need is 3 copies of this, or 1 copy of him, and you could actually fill up your whole board if they didn't use that wording. And I'm glad that they did, because it probably means that this deck will be safe from a lot of ban list hate in like a week or 2, week and a half, something like that. And yeah, I could already see everybody going, yeah, well, if it didn't say that, you'd play a monster, play him, grab Medallion, get him, play him, and just keep doing. And you're right. But he's great for his versatility. It makes the deck a lot less linear when you're playing, so a lot less predictable. We both love this little Hexa Spirit here. While you control another face-up Ice Barrier monsters your opponent control lose 500 AD. And again, this would be a stackable effect. And since it doesn't say another name, you could actually summon both of them. It would do that. He is a 1-star tuner. And his best effect, during the main phase, you can send 1 level 3 lower Ice Barrier monster from the deck to the graveyard. And if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that card's level until the end of the turn, using this effect only once per turn. And I think I said this when I was going over the strategies for hers, but my favorite toss-out is going to be Zuijin. And Zuijin, because of his ability to bring himself back, especially if Wayne's already on board, it helps you, especially when you want a link build, which I didn't do too much of, if we're being totally honest. But at the same time, it will allow, how do I want to say this? It'll allow you to get the extra bodies that you need for the Trishula variants, because they require 2+ non-tuners. So it allows you to board the extra bodies. Revealer, again, we want to run this at 3. Yes, as long as there's another Ice Barrier monster, she stops your opponent from being able to tribute summon. Again, like Monarchs, True Draco, that's fine. Best effects are the fact that she's actually summoning backup when she comes along. So you can discard a card, special summon an Ice Barrier for monster from your, tuner from the deck. And then you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Water Attribute, which is fine. That means I'm only not playing my Tornado Dragon. If you would discard or send a card of cards from the hand or the graveyard, from the hand to the graveyard, to activate an Ice Barrier monster effect, you may banish this card from the graveyard instead of one of those cards. And so it'll allow you to preserve your hand once it's gone. And then once we get to the winds, you will see how we can actually go ahead and recur her as one of the 3 cards that banish themselves and be able to bring that back to the hand. Next up is Prior. Prior's actually always been pretty cool. And he's how we're going to go into Totally Awesome, being a 2-star Aqua. If you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You cannot special summon any level 5 or higher the turn that you special summon this way. You can tribute this card and target an Ice Barrier monster in your graveyard except Prior and special summon it. So a couple of things. First off, he's going to be Monster Reborn for you. You attribute him to go into one of the bigger cards, and again, once the extra deck has been destroyed, you could bring back all those characters that got popped. Additionally, he could bring back our boy Wayne, and I believe that'll trigger his effect of the when normal or specialed. So we get that as an extension play while increasing the value on the board. And again, as a 2-star Aqua, and not saying that we can't summon 2 of these from our hand at the same time, especially if you start with one of these and one of the 3 medallions, then yeah, you're actually pretty set up in order to go into the totally awesome. So 3 priors. Again, I like the Silent Anglers just as much as Celestial Duelist did. If you control a water monster, you can special summon this from the hand, but you can't special summon from the hand for the rest of the turn. And the way that it's worded, obviously you could play Prior first and then go into the Angler, and then you've already done all your hand summons anyway. And then it's of course it's just another great generic extender, but again on the rank 4 plays, it's very useful, very versatile. And again, it just came in the structure deck. Single strategist, I thought about playing around with his number. There wasn't anything I was too comfortable taking out for him. And it's because he's got this great effect. Once per turn, you can send an Ice Barrier monster from your hand to the graveyard to draw a card. Normally, we don't see this effect. I think the only other time we really saw this effect in Yu-Gi-Oh! Was Chocolate Magician Girl. And it allows you to discard a spellcaster, and lo and behold, he's a spellcaster. But this is an effect that, again, like you see this more in like Magic the Gathering of card effects where it's like discard to draw one. Very common in other games, not so common in Yu-Gi-Oh! But great card nonetheless. We do have the Speaker for the Ice Barriers, another card that's going to remove itself. So while you control another Ice Barrier monster, defense monsters your opponent control cannot change their battle positions, which is okay. A little better in the budget control version. Not as standout right now, but still sometimes useful. You can only use each of the following effects of Speaker of the Ice Barrier for the Ice Barriers once per turn. If you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can special summon this from the hand, which is great. Again, looking at the 4-star level right there. And then, of course, if you control an Ice Barrier monster, you can banish this from the graveyard to special summon a level 1 0x0 token. And what's so important about that token, guys? Link Climb, Synchro Build, it's all good. And again, with the wins, we're going to be able to bring this card back to our hand and use it again. So again, like, yeah, kind of a no-nonsense 3 of. And then last up, 2 copies Zuijin. You contribute this card to special summon a level 5 or higher Ice Barrier from your hand. Again, Wayne already has one way to special summon himself. This is the second way. If this card is in your graveyard except the turn it was sent there, you can target a level 3 or higher water monster you control. Reduce the level by exactly 2. And if you do, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. You can only use each effect of Zuijin once per turn. I did misread this, and I'm not sure if it was on the channel or if this was in private. And I made a joke about him making somebody a 0-star. Obviously, Konami printed this so that wouldn't happen. And it was like one of those heat-of-the-moment little jokes I made. But he is there to, essentially, again, count as an extra body without creating a gap in the levels. And again, that's really for the Trishula plays. So he's got a job to do, and it's not bad, and he can come back, and it's all right. And again, we can recycle him. Now, he's just not as important as Revealer or Speaker, and that's why we left him at a 2 count. So then real quick, we have Foolish Burial, because we could send any one of those to the graveyard and banish them whenever we see fit. Or if you've got your Monster Reborn, or you have your Chains, which is essentially Monster Reborn, or the one monster that is Monster Reborn, you can just go ahead and play as the situation needs. Excuse that, please. And then we go straight into the Freezing Chains of the Ice Barrier. This continuous spell says, when it is activated, target 1 level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monster in the graveyard, special summon it. And then while you control 3 or more Ice Barrier monsters, all your Ice Barrier monsters that you control become unaffected by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters that were special summoned from the extra deck. You You can only activate one of these per turn, and rightfully so. You don't want your opponent to activate 4 copies of Monster Reborn if they have this plus Monster Reborn. So we do have the 3 medallions of the Ice Barrier. Again, simple sentence is best. Just add an Ice Barrier monster from the deck to the hand. No limitation based on typing, based on level, based on... It only cares about the archetype. And so that's really cool. Now, this is a card I am expecting to see maybe get fiddled around with a little bit. Maybe it'll go down to 2. Maybe it'll go down to 1. And if it does, there's a couple good options to slide into the deck. Cha-cha real smooth. If it totally gets banned, I don't want to say that this deck is done, but it definitely won't be seeing a lot of play, just the people who really enjoy the archetype. And I can't see Konami wanting to do that. I could see them wanting to make their money. Excuse me, I don't have a cup of water today, so pardon that. But I can't see Konami as a business wanting to immediately put cards from this deck on the ban list. So I don't feel like it'll happen in March. I feel like it'll happen 3 months later. So, again, we need a Monster Reborn. The 1-for-1 allowing us to, again, speed up some of the cards. And we can also place Zuijin in the discard pile through this. 2 salvages, because, again, we can take all those lower attack power cards, recycle them back to the hand from the discard pile, and wins over the Ice Barrier. So, tribute any number of Ice Barrier monsters, special summon that many level 4 or lower Ice Barrier monsters with different names from the deck. During the main phase, except the turn this is sent to the graveyard, you can banish this, and then target one of your Ice Barrier monsters that is banished or in the graveyard, and add that card back to your hand. You can use each effect once per turn, just not the same card for both effects in a turn. So, if one's already in the discard pile, then feel free to play a second one from your hand and banish the first. And again, this is how we're going to bring back those powerful 3 characters between the Speaker, the Revealer, and of course, Zuijin. So, and again, I don't really like going anywhere without Solemn Strikes, so this is what took the deck up to 41. That's why I had to have an extra sleeve. I don't know, I just don't like hand traps, and the fact that this runs double duty for monster effects, not just specifically hand traps the way Called by the Grave does, and the fact that I can nuke a special summons means 1,500 points seems like a budget deal for me. But again, like I said, you could always drop all 3 of those and place in the Called by the Grave and a copy of the Terror of Trishula, or whatever else you think might work out for you. Because again, this is just a game. Got to play around a little bit in order to figure out what works. So let's talk about the extra deck real quick. And a lot of these guys aren't going to need any discussion, like Brynak, okay? Yeah, I went out and I pulled out my hidden arsenals because it's fun. So you discard any number of cards, and then you return the same amount of cards that your opponent controls from the field to the hand. And again, this is a once per turn effect. Of course, being the original version of Brynak does not say all of that, which is why they go ahead and they give you reprints in the structure deck, which is fine. And he's a good, easy 6 to make. Another fun 6 to make, and something that we're going to make off Hack of Fibrax, will be the Coral Dragon. So if you guys got the Legendary Hero deck series, this would have been, I believe, with the Nordic God section. But this level 6, once per turn, you can discard a card, then target a card your opponent controls to destroy it. If this is if this synchro summoned card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect once per turn. Now, I don't know that Hack of Fibrax is going to count it as a synchro summon. Yep, it is. It is going to be considered as a synchro summon, so we will get that effect when we synchronize higher. And again, being a 6-star means we're going to be able to basically do this, do Wayne, and then pop off Zuijin's effect to modulate levels. And that's going to be our full 11 with minimum of 3 bodies to go into your freezing 0 Trishula. So, and then you get to draw a card on top of everything else, and then you get to do all the crazy things. So, Coral Dragon. Surprise tech. Looks sweet. Okay. Duelist. Once per turn, return any number of face-up cards you control to the owner's hand, and for each card returned to the owner's hand by this effect, this gains 500 attack until the end of the turn. And of course, this is a once per turn effect. He is a good easy 6 to make. He will require non-tuner waters. Again, I think that just means you just can't use Ash Blossom, but that's fine. Ash Blossom would be in the tuner spot anyway, and that doesn't say it needs to be anything special. So do Lauren at 1. We do have the Glacial Beast Iceberg Narwhal from Battle of Legends Armageddon. So again, this is tuner and non-tuner waters. This is a good 7-star because you need a little variation in the star levels. Each time another monsters you control is destroyed by an opponent's attack or card effect, inflicts 600 damage to the opponent. During the battle phase, when your opponent activates a card or effect while you control another monster, as a quick effect, you may negate it, and if you do, destroy it. You can use that effect once per turn. That's really the reason we're here. Yes, if you can get a little bit of chip damage off, that is cool, but we are here for the once per turn negation. So, again, we've got Gungnir, and again, crazy hidden arsenal. Tuner, non-tuner waters. Nice 7 stars again. Once per turn, you can discard up to 2 cards to the graveyard to select the same number of cards your opponent controls, destroy them. And again, like it says, once per turn, hard once per turn. And again, this is one of the reasons why salvage is so good. If salvage is available to us, it's almost a shame if we don't drop 2 things that we know we can just rip right back to our hand. So that's cool. Did not have Trishula from Hidden Arsenal. A little upset about that. What I do have is I have the Dual Devastator, which is not the newest print, obviously, but still better than super rare, I think. Tuner plus non-tuners. This one is a 9-star synchro. When this card is synchro summoned, you can banish up to 1 card each from the opponent's hand, field, and graveyard, and the card in the hand gets chosen at random. Not bad. And then, of course, there is the Zero Dragon of the Ice Barrier, the new upgraded Trishula, the one that's actually allowed at 3. And that's probably going to stay there because, again, you need 11 stars. And that's a lot easier in the past, not exactly now, because everything's about links. So, real quick, what you're going to do when this is synchro summoned, you can banish up to 3 cards your opponent controls. So they have to be all on board. If the synchro summoned card in its owner's control is destroyed by an opponent's card, effect or battle, actually, because of the wording, you can special summon 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier from the extra deck or the graveyard with its attack becoming 3,300. Then immediately have the attack of all face-up monsters your opponent currently controls and negate their effects. Now, there is no till the end of the turn on either of those 3 things. So, permanently, Trishula is going to gain that 600 points. Permanently, those monsters are going to be at half their stat, and permanently, they have lost their effects. So that's pretty fantastic. And of course, you can only use that effect once per turn. So again, just a one-of, nothing terrible. Beast Dweller, nice rank 4. While this has material attached to it that was originally water, all water monsters you currently control gain 500. That's just a funny little addition that we can get. And then once per turn, as a quick effect, attach material from this. Your opponent cannot activate any card effects in their graveyard this turn. So we can shut down the graveyard effects. Not bad. Silent Honor Arc, keeping the water theme up. 2 level 4s again. You can detach 2 materials from this card. Target a special summon card your opponent controls that's in face-up attack position. Remembering that links cannot have defense. Attached to this card is material, and you can use this effect once per turn. And then if this card is face-up on the field will be destroyed by battle or card effect, detach 1 material from it instead. And it is a you could obviously let it get popped, or you could be a thorn in your opponent's side. Your pick. One of my tech choices this time, because I always like to throw one off-the-wall card in there. We got the Snowdust Giant from forever ago. 2 level 4 water attributes. Once per turn, detach 1 Xyz material from this card. Reveal any number of water monsters in your hand. Place that many ice counters on the face-up monsters on the field. Non-water monsters on the field lose 200 attack for each ice counter on the field. I figured if we were going to have a battle-driven side tech, this guy's already starting at 22, which is not bad for an Xyz. And then I figured we'd go ahead and create a whole imbalance. Because again, just about everything but the Ash Blossom in your deck should be a water attribute. And you can show a lot, especially if you play Salvage first. That would be fun. We do have Totally Awesome in here. I do not have the... I don't remember if it's Shark Drake or... There's a rank 4 that can actually play this without it having material, but I don't own that card, so... if I did, you know, that could be another spot for where the Snow Dust Giant is, or you could take out the Tornado Dragon, your choice. But Totally Awesome. Once per turn during the standby phase, you can detach material from this, special summon a frog from the deck. We're not going to be doing that. Once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent special summons a spell or trap or monster effect, you can send one aqua monster from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard negate. And if you do destroy the card, then you can set it to your field. That is very important. We could be taking spells, we could be taking traps, or we could set their monsters. If this card is sent to the graveyard, target a water monster in the graveyard and add that to your hand, which again is very cool. And there are some aquas that are worth playing in this deck, as you saw through the list. And Tornado Dragon again, just any 2 level 4s once per turn as a quick effect, so during the opponent's turn as well, detach material and destroy 1 spell trap on the field. Going over to the links, because we're getting towards the end of this, finally. We got Hackle Fibrax. You need 2 monsters, including one of them to be a tuner. Now, it could just be 2 tuners if you prefer. We're not going to shame you on that. You will create the link. When this card is link summoned, you can special summon 1 level 3 or lower tuner from your hand or deck in defense mode, but cannot activate its effect this turn. During your opponent's main phase or battle phase, as a quick effect, you can banish this card you control, special summon 1 tuner synchro from your extra deck. This will be treated as a synchro summon, and you can only use Hackle Fibrax effects once per turn. And again, this is going to get us straight into... Where did Coral Dragon go? This will get us straight into Coral Dragon. So, very cool. We do have the Coral Anemone from the Marincess. Just any 2 water monsters. You can target 1 water monster with 1500 or less in the graveyard, special summon it to a zone this card points to. And also you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except water, which is the main reason we went straight water today. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can target 1 Marincess in the graveyard, except same name, add it back to your hand. Each effect is a once per turn. Now, obviously, we're not playing full-on Marincess, but we are going to be able to special summon back one of our cards. And that is the reason to play it. Miss Starboy, just a generic 2 for waters. All waters will gain 500 attack and defense. All fire will lose 400 attack and defense while this is face up. And if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can target 1 water monster in the graveyard, add that back to your hand. This effect is a solid once per turn. And that concludes the competitive nature of the Ice Barrier from the base of using the Freeze and Chains structure deck. For anybody who made it all the way through, thank you. Sorry it was so long. Throat's starting to dry out a little bit. I really do hope that you guys have broken the 100 before the end of Friday, so this way you guys got this as soon as possible. And I can go back to working on some fun decks. And I've got a couple challenges in the tube. And I still have to do an update on Ancient Warriors because we did get a couple new cards from that in the Blazing Vortex. I've also got to come up with something cool for Speed Duel this next week. And I got to get to it. So thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best. And I'm going to get to work. See you guys next time.